Okay, I have another question for you. This is from Richard on Facebook. It says, a question on assisting developing countries. What methods of funding does the Scottish government propose to help developing countries adapt to climate change?
What we've been seeking to do is to work through many of the agencies that are already working in developing countries. We as a sub-state country, we're not yet an independent country, have relatively limited resources. So we've sought to target specifically. So we've had a long-standing program of support with people in Malawi, but working through bodies such as SCIAF and other NGOs who are already operating there, because that makes sure the money gets direct to the front line. And I think that's very important. We're going to bring forward an international fund that will be a new way of specifically having money from the Scottish Government to address climate change. We've also, of course, got more than just money. We've got expertise. Many of our academic institutions are working with other countries. We've commissioned, for example, for the Maldives, we've commissioned academic work to look at the opportunities they have for renewable energy. Because, of course, the Maldives we've chosen as partners because they are probably the most low-lying country on earth. They are less than 2 meters above sea level, the whole country. So we've made a partnership with them, and we will look for other niche partnerships where there don't appear to be other relationships with the first world. And I think, given the resources we have, that is the right way for us to proceed. But always being guided by the needs of the people in these countries, not thinking that we already know what it is that's required, which I think is sometimes a feature of too much aid.
Yeah. You know, I think that's very important because very often the aid doesn't get to the people that really need it. So I think to work through the agencies or local government is very important. I am a little concerned that I have heard that some of the transnational corporations, they also want to get direct access to the funds, you know. And I think the funds for this adaptation, we have to remember that, well, people call it adaptation. In my country, we call it survival. Because very often it's just a matter of survival. You know, more than 300,000 people die every year because of climate change related activities in the world. So for those people, money is really needed. And if you get the corporations trying to make money out of those funds, then the situation may get a little complicated. So an advice I'd like to give you, Mr. Minister, perhaps you can influence the UK government and other governments, is not to allow the World Bank to manage those funds. You know, I'd rather have a SCIAF or the Scottish government directly dealing with the governments in Honduras, El Salvador, of course for Africa, Asia, but I am telling you the names I am more familiar with. I think it'd be more advisable if you direct, deal with the people.
Certainly, the fewer people touch the money, the less money has to be distributed in ways that are not directly in the front line. But there is a role for big business, and there are big businesses that are very committed to the agenda, but we've got to choose our partners carefully. And I think particularly in energy, where there are actually South African big businesses helping other countries across Africa, and that's a good model, because it keeps, of course, more of the profits that are earned from commercial involvement in the continent, and that's always going to be a good thing. But equally, when it comes to some of the technologies, even things like solar farms and solar furnaces, you do perhaps require some of the big businesses to be there. But we've got to make sure we can also help countries understand what is a good deal and what is not a good deal, so that we don't get too much of the benefit going back to Europe, going back to America, but staying in the country and enabling them to get access to good energy, clean water, improve agriculture, and create new industries to export from agriculture because they're growing enough of their own needs that they can make business. So.
Okay.